Welcome back to the channel. Did Thomas Jefferson fight Islam, or, stay with me here, was Thomas Jefferson actually a secret Muslim? Watch this video and we'll discuss more. Now the truth is neither answer is right, and the real answer is a lot more interesting than either one. Earlier this week, I was watching a video by the Reverend Al Mohler, the president of the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, about Jefferson's beliefs about the Bible and his contribution in the founding. Down in the comments section, someone wrote, "Jefferson fought Islam. He went to war with the Muslims." I replied and said, not exactly. It's true Jefferson fought the Barbary pirates, and they happened to be Muslims, and they were even influenced by their fight, by their faith. However, fighting them doesn't mean that he fought Islam, any more than fighting England meant that he fought Christianity or even fought the Church of England. Enemies are not religions, enemies are people. And Jefferson understood that distinction better than almost any founder we had. Now here's the backdrop, and it's worth knowing. For decades, American ships in the Mediterranean were being seized by pirates out of the Barbary states, Tripoli, Algiers, Tunis, and Morocco. Sailors were captured. Some were enslaved, held for ransom, sometimes for years. America, like Europe before it, had been paying tribute, protection money, just to keep our ships moving. By the time Thomas Jefferson took office, that tribute was draining the federal budget. And so Jefferson said no more. He sent the Navy and the Marines.
But first, send the Marines.
You know the words, "to the shores of Tripoli." That's not just a line in a hymn. It's this war, the Barbary War. He fought men who invoked Islam to justify enslaving people. Watch closely. He never treated it as a war on religion. He treated it as a war against piracy and slavery. That distinction mattered to him, and it should matter to us. Now here's what a lot of people don't know. This same man, Thomas Jefferson, owned a copy of the Quran in an English translation, sitting in his library at Monticello decades before he was president. He read it. He studied it. This wasn't a man building a caricature in his head. He went to the source. That seems rare then, and perhaps it's even rarer now. That respect shows up in his most important piece of legislation. Now, the Declaration wasn't legislation, and that's why I say, as the governor of Virginia, when he wrote the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom, Jefferson made sure the protection wasn't just for Protestants, or even just for Christians. He wrote it to protect, in his own words, the Jew and the Gentile, the Christian and the Mohammedan, the Hindu and infidel of every denomination. He mentioned Muslims and Hindus by name, written into American law by the same man who fought the Barbary pirates. Same man. Now we know Jefferson was a man of contradictions, but let that sit with you. And here's perhaps an even more famous story. In December of 1805, Jefferson hosts a Tunisian envoy at the White House, Sidi Soliman Melimeli, there to help settle the Barbary conflict. It happens that that was Ramadan, and Melimeli can't eat before sundown according to his religion. So Jefferson moves to hold dinner. The invitations go out saying that dinner will be served precisely at sunset. Alright, in December that's a little early, but it was because the president already knew what Ramadan required. Now some historians debate whether to call this the first White House iftar or just a courteous scheduling change. Fine. Debate the label, but you can't debate the respect behind it. So, and then I have to tell you this personal part. Over 15 years ago, I served as a rabbi in a synagogue in Richmond, Virginia, and I got to know some of the Muslim community members nearby. More than once, they'd bring up Jefferson to me. often calling him an honorary Muslim. Not because he took a shahada, he didn't, but because of his own Unitarian leanings. He wasn't officially a Unitarian, but perhaps a little U Unitarian would be a way to identify him. Jefferson, being raised in the Christian tradition, honored Jesus deeply as a moral teacher, but he also edited his own version of the Gospels to take out the teachings and in a certain sense to deny the Christian belief in the divinity of Jesus. So since Jefferson was a monotheist, not a Trinitarian, who respected Jesus as a teacher without worshiping him as God, well, my Muslim neighbors in Virginia saw something familiar in that. I don't think Jefferson was secretly a Muslim. I don't think he bowed down facing Mecca 5 times a day or eschewed pork or anything. But I understood exactly why they saw it. And just a small aside, I'm a rabbi, Jewish rabbi myself, and the truth is that Thomas Jefferson also corresponded and often invited Rabbi Yisrael Ber Kershid from Richmond to visit him in Monticello. And not only that, but Jefferson had a genuine intellectual interest in the Talmud, and he kept volumes of it in his own library. Later, Art Scroll donated the missing volumes to Monticello. So this tells you something very real. This was a man who wanted primary sources from every tradition, not merely secondhand summaries, but also he respected many different religions. The question is, why does this matter now? Because we're still stuck arguing over the wrong question. Is Islam the enemy? When Thomas Jefferson, 200 years ago, more than that, showed us the better question. Which people, practicing what, believing what, living how? Here's what I believe, plainly and respectively. Of course, radical Islamism, which is not even really Islam, is a real threat. And its first victims are usually other Muslims. But a strong, patriotic, American-style Islam, faithful, pro-family values, fully at home in a constitutional republic, that isn't a threat at all. It's a natural ally. Instead of Christians complaining, oh look, the Muslims get to have prayers in the public schools during Ramadan, let's stop them. No. Instead, let's have Christian prayers and Jewish prayers and all other religions. Instead of being exclusive, let's try to be more inclusive within the realm of the things that we're trying to accomplish as American conservatives. And it grows, this allyship grows when conservatives actually show up and do the outreach. And the truth is, President Trump and his team have made real efforts to do so. If you look at the videos from recent years and the iftar dinners that President Trump has hosted in the White House, and the love and respect that he's shown for Muslim Americans, it shows a path of how we can be more inclusive. But quite often Republicans miss those great opportunities. For example, Dr. Mehmet Oz. There was a big opportunity that most let pass quietly. He was running, a famous TV personality. Now he's in the cabinet. He was running statewide in Pennsylvania as a candidate for the U.S. Senate as a Republican, and he is a practicing Muslim. And that's one of the best answers there to the charge that the right is hostile to Muslims. But it barely got said out loud, and that's worth saying plainly. And I'll say this too, respectfully but honestly, I don't think the biggest long-term threat to religious life in America is any religion at all. The biggest threat is communism and other forms of Marxism, even if they want to call it democratic socialism or whatever lies they have, wearing whatever costume is convenient that week. I've noticed, maybe this is just my own honest read, take as an opinion, not a verdict, that some of the loudest voices claiming Islam on the far left don't seem to practice it with much rigor. I'm a Jew, and even I know that you take your shoes off before you walk into a mosque, and yet there's a picture of one well-known politician from this democratic socialist who was raised by a Muslim father, claims to be a Muslim, in the mosque with shoes on. Genuine faith Muslim, Christian, Orthodox, Jewish, Hindu, Sikh, it doesn't matter which religion. All of us tend to clash hard with that radical left-wing ideology because they're an enemy to traditional family values, and they're an enemy to private property rights, all these things that these religions all share in common. Now, Jefferson fought for the right to actually practice your faith. He never said every politician wearing a religion's label for a photo op deserves the same respect as someone actually living it. Quick word before I wrap up. A real thank you to the channel members who make videos like this possible, digging through historical records, fact-checking every claim. That takes time, and your support is what lets me do it right instead of rushing it. If you're not a member yet and you want more of this kind of deep dive content along with some perks along the way, particularly getting to see some of the videos early, the join button's right below this video, and I appreciate every one of you. And a big shout out to Mabel and to David and to Noah. And if you want to go even deeper on the questions that this raises, do Jews, Christians, and Muslims actually worship the same God? Go check out my video, A Hasidic Rabbi's Deep Dive. Do Muslims and Christians worship the same God? Mind-blowing analysis. We have a link right over here coming up. It's the natural next watch after this one, and it'll change how you see everything I just talked about. So no, Jefferson was not a secret Muslim. And also no, Jefferson didn't fight Islam. He fought pirates and enslavers who happened to be Muslim and even claimed their religion as a justification for their crimes. But in his very same life, he wrote Muslims, Jews, and Hindus into American law by name, protecting our right to worship free from government interference. That's not a talking point. That's documented American story. And it's a better, more honest one than the version most people have heard. If this opened your eyes even a little, I'd love to hear your take in the comments. Respectfully, of course, please like, share, subscribe, comment, hit that bell button. And if you enjoy, please consider a channel membership. And we'll see you in the next one. God bless.
Yibnei HaMikdash, Hirtzio in the Malach.